It's definitely a mess.
All right.
Okay, I've got 5 o'clock. Called the meeting to order today, Monday, August 3rd, 2020. Roll call, Selectman Howdy Goodwin, Mike Mansalili, Mackenzie Jewett, Kevin Buck, myself, Jamie Thurlow, Town Manager Chris Saunders, and Town Clerk Katie Danderin. Adoption of agenda, is there anything anyone would like to change on the agenda? Okay, we have the approval of minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of July 20th, 2020.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the minutes from Monday, July 20th, 2020. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Approval of warrants. We have hopefully the last warrant from FY20. I know they keep coming in there.
No, you don't.
Yeah. Warrant number 135 for $11,028.10. And then from FY21, we have warrant 6 for $8,355.95. 7 for $10,547.22. And 8 for $8,324.14. And warrant 9 for $347,339.81.
Make a motion to approve warrant 135 from fiscal year 20 and warrants 6 through 9 on fiscal year 21.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the warrant 135 from FY20 and then warrant 6 through 9 on FY21. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? All right. Regular business. First thing we have is coastal flooding grant authorization. We had talked about that for a second at the last meeting, and I believe, Lawson, you're here to represent for that.
Sure, Toby. I'm Lawson Wilson. I spoke here, I think in January of this year, about a similar project. This is not a grant authorization. I'm here today to ask for approval of a project concept without funding. We don't have funding yet. We will continue to look for funding, and when we do, we often have a quick, tight turnaround where we need to get letters of support from the town. And so in order for Chris to sign that letter of support, he typically needs to go before the select board, and oftentimes that timing doesn't allow us to turn around the grant proposal in time. So the project is a partnership between the League of Towns, so it's all the towns in MBI and the surrounding area, Climate to Thrive, and the Gulf of Maine Research Institute. And this is for a coastal, it's mapping coastal flooding, projected coastal flooding based on storms in the future. And it's a mapping exercise. A couple of weeks ago at the last meeting, there was some conversation. I watched a video of it, and there was a little bit of sort of distraction and wrong information. It's not about infrastructure change. It's a mapping project using GIS data and what we call bathtub model, essentially that given like what areas fill up with water during a 50-year storm or a 100-year storm or a 200-year storm projected in the future. And it's a tool that allows the League of Towns, all the towns to identify vulnerabilities and also sort of share resources to help with strategic planning in the future. Time to Thrive plays a role in connecting towns to each other and then also in providing public outreach. And so part of this is to use this web-based visualization tool to help educate the community about effects of coastal flooding in the future. Yeah, any questions, comments on that?
George?
Yeah, I've been here almost 50 years and I've seen very little flooding. And so what's the sense of wasting our money on something that isn't broke? How about leaving it alone? And if you don't like it here, road goes both ways. Oh, no, I'm serious.
I think I understand your question to be about, you asked a couple questions in there. One of which was about wasting our money. This is to approve a project without funding. So
Yeah, right, so nobody can do anything in the dooryard, they get a mud puddle in the dooryard, they gotta get permission to fill the mud puddle. You know something, I say, get lost. That's what I say. Move on, go some other town, do your bullshit.
Okay, thank you for your comments.
All right,
Yeah, I'm not for this either. I just think it's gonna open up a can of worms, getting the smack out. Totally against it.
I'm not for it either.
I'll put my planning board hat on for a moment as well to identify that when we're looking at new projects, we often refer to the FEMA flood lines. And those are drawn by FEMA based on past events. This coastal mapping project has nothing to do with past events or FEMA flood delineation. So it's unrelated to those two things.
Mike?
But it can lead to zoning changes within the town. The maps can be passed on for zoning changes, correct?
That would totally be up to the town and to determine how to use this.
I just think we're walking a little fragile line with something like that to, a lot of people like how things are currently operating in the town and they probably don't want to change that. We're a very, very small town, with the smallest town on MDI. And I don't know if we're ready for those types of changes really, I mean, there might be other towns that are, but I don't know as we are at this time. I mean, I respect your opinion, but I just think that it's probably best that we keep going the way we've been going. I know how these work. They go to planning boards, they review them. The next thing you know, they're adding 4 or 5 different zones. And it makes it difficult for somebody that is a landowner that's paying heavy taxes to do anything in the town. And I know that, there's a lot of people that's been a concern that have voiced that concern to me. Doesn't mean that it's going to happen, but it could.
Sure.
And I just don't think that I'm quite ready for that yet.
Mark?
Mike, I'm not advocating for this one way or another, but
Certainly.
a lot of the shoreline zoning is at the state level, the Department of Environmental Protection, and that we as a local planning board sometimes have no choice as what they're asking us to do.
And I understand that as well, but it's just, that information that any research that's done could be passed on to the state for changes. And I just don't think that's the route we're headed, that I think we should be headed.
And the DEP takes care of it quite nicely.
Yeah, if there's ever an issue, they come in,
They come right
they evaluate, there's no question. If there's a complaint on anything,
Yeah.
they come in and they handle it. And that's what's great about our state, that, they do take care of us. And, John Cullen will be down here in a day
Yes.
to check anything. I just think I've seen this in other towns. I've seen GIS mapping. I know what it is. They send drones up in the air a lot of times. And, they make maps. College Atlantic did one for another town that I was in. So it's no different. I think we should just leave it the way it is for now.
Well, I gotta disagree with you.
Okay.
We've had water standing across the road in front of McEachran's yard last winter for a couple days. 2 winters ago, the town dock was underwater for a while at one of the big high tides. Things are changing. I think having some information to base stuff on is a good idea. I don't think that it's going to force any zoning changes in itself. And any zoning changes that the town initiates have to go to town meeting to be approved anyway. So I think having some more information is a good idea.
Okay. Any more discussion? Oh, sorry, Mark, I didn't.
Is there a cost to the town for this? What? Nobody's
I'm not sure
explained
what Boston.
Not yet, but they will be in school, always is.
What I'm here today to ask for is, select board approval for the project and concept that will allow Chris to sign letters of support for the project when we go for future grant funding from outside sources.
Mhm.
To answer your question, Mark, no, there's no cost to the town.
At this point, how about
No.
after the grant application, if you go for a grant?
I guess I don't understand the question.
Oh, okay, maybe I'm confused then.
Yeah, I mean,
This is just for approval to go ahead. Explain it, please, again.
sure. So I'm asking for approval from the select board for us to pursue funding for a coastal mapping project. I'm not at this point suggesting to the town or advising the town in any way about what to do with that information or, you know, it's about a mapping project.
Okay, I wasn't confused yet, so there is no cost to the town.
That's right.
And have other towns signed on?
Yes.
Every other member town?
No, we're in the process of going to all the League of towns for approval.
Sarah, did you have a question?
That was my question.
Oh, okay.
Are you going before other select boards?
Yeah, although not necessarily personally unless select board after that. Bar Harbor approved it, at our last meeting, maybe 2 weeks ago, 10 years ago. And I don't know when it's on the agenda at the other town. We were in front of the League of Towns at the June meeting.
I'd like to make a motion not to authorize the town manager to provide a letter of support for the Climate to Thrive to apply for the town's behalf for grant funding that will support visualizing and complex impacts of flooding on coastal communities.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to not authorize the town manager to provide a letter of support for a Climate to Thrive to apply on the town's behalf for grant funding that will support visualization, the complex impacts of flooding on coastal communities. Is that right, Howdy?
Yep.
Did I get it? Okay. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? All right, is there anything else on this topic while we're here, or?
Thank you for your
Thank you.
time.
Next is wharf fees. We now have I guess we're going to try to set the wharf fees for the year. The Harbor Committee has weighed in on what you had drawn up, Chris, you said.
Yep.
And what is their opinion?
They unanimously recommended the proposal that is in your packet.
And should I go through each one, or just as you see it here, there's an increase all the way down through. Obviously, it was to try to make the dock break even, should I say?
Well, in the long run, yes.
Okay.
Year to year, if we broke even every year, then we would never be able to afford capital improvements. And so the goal, when I drafted these, was to have a $10,000 surplus every year, so that over the course of 10 years, we would save $100,000 for reference, the project that we just finished had a total cost of $246,000. So,
So that could go towards any wharf repairs or anything
correct, yeah.
down the road.
Exactly. So as by tradition every year, we just take whatever the surplus is in this fund and transfer it all immediately into the work capital reserve. So it just sits there.
Jamie, you probably understand this better than anyone. You think this is pretty fair?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that a lot of people aren't gonna be that happy with any sort of an increase, but the bottom line is, when you do these projects like we just did on the dock, they cost a lot of money, and they have to be funded somehow, and I mean, just like anything,
It's
it's.
either fees or taxes, right? So,
Yeah, no, I mean, and you can't draw, out of people's taxes to fund what I consider a semi-commercial, commercial wharf. It's the upkeep is substantial on it, and I mean, I think these are more than reasonable, honestly, but that's just my opinion.
Has there been much feedback from you on these?
The harbor committee, like I said, approved it, and Justin's been chatting with people, and there hasn't been much of an outcry.
Yeah, I mean, I know the agreement's always been to have it pay for itself. So.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make a motion that we set the proposed FY 21 wharf fees as written on the document dated 8/3/20.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt the September 1st, 2020 through August 31st, 2020 wharf fees as proposed. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Okay, next one is road reconstruction, and I know we have talked about this a lot of times, and over the last few years, it seems like we keep going back to the discussion, but we finally have money saved up, right, Chris, to do a complete road reconstruction.
Correct.
Okay, so now we have to choose which roads. That's the fun part.
Hey, bro.
Yeah.
I think for something that's doable and in terrible shape, the Hudson Road comes. I mean, it's a relatively short road and it is in terrible condition. I mean, it makes sense to me.
I
I
know,
think it's probably worst overall of any of them.
But to what extent are we gonna take it?
full.
Full?
Yeah,
We're gonna
revolve.
core drill it and core it and make sure we got compaction, and are we just gonna
No, we're
grind
doing
it up and repave it?
the whole works. This, I think what we set aside the money for, if we could get that amount in the taxes, was to do a full road reconstruction like Dow, I get them confused, Dow Point, right?
Dow.
Yeah, Dow Point was done, ditching, ledge.
Can
the
we
whole-
specify no curbing on the edge, because that's a tire catcher
Yeah.
that's down there, you can't pass two cars safely on it.
What I would recommend is, instead of getting into that detail at this point, once you tell me which road, I'm gonna work with the engineer. He's gonna prepare a bid package to bring back to you for your approval.
Yep.
And that kind of detail you'll see in the bid package. And if you don't like it, tell him.
Oh, we have, okay.
Now, where that's a short road, will we have enough money to do some work for another road, or?
I'd like to, I optimistic that yes. I ran some very preliminary numbers and I was pleased where I saw that, but it's been 3 years since we've done one.
Right.
And, with, the pandemic surcharge, we'll call it, who knows when these bids are gonna come in.
Yeah, I was hearing somewhere around, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we did this last year, say a year ago, I'm not sure exactly, but I think all of us drove all the roads to try to see what was what and what each of our opinion was. I think, wasn't it for the most part, like Dix Point was bad, Hodgson, I think was worse, that was really rough shape. I can't think of any other one that was in any rougher shape than that, really. Oh, Larry. Dodge Point, yeah. We did just do some very nice trimming and
Yeah.
some ditching and,
That's good for down in, but
Yeah.
the asphalt still needs to be replaced out at the beginning of the road.
Mhm.
And I measured that just on the way here, it's 850 feet
Yeah.
of asphalt. How long is the Hudson road?
Around 1,200 maybe, somewhere around there. It's not that one.
Give me a few minutes, I can tell you.
Yeah, okay.
I measured it.
Maybe 50.
You measured it?
Yeah.
I have measured it. I have to find my document that tells me that, but I can.
But even if we had money left over from the Hudson Road, then we could maybe pay the 800 feet of.
There would have to be some reconstruction of the Dodge Point Road, not as, well, I mean, not as much as the Hudson Road, there'd have to be some.
Yeah.
And a base, but, we don't need to do the whole Dodge Point Road now, you know. The other parts down in by my house and further down is pretty good dirt wise, especially where you, trimmed it and ditched it and all that last summer.
Helping that sun get in there probably helped quite a bit, huh?
It does help, it helped in that low spot after the tar.
Was that
1,100 feet.
1,100 feet?
Austin.
That's it?
Yeah, it's pretty short. The
Wow,
town
I
road
thought it
ends-
was longer than that,
Well,
yeah.
the town road ends in there.
Yeah, because you go up over that rise
Yeah.
where the two high spots are on each side of the road, and that's town, I remember that.
Yeah, but it's not much further. than
Okay.
that.
Yeah, it doesn't turn right at the end of it.
Yeah, it just stops right beyond that, then it would be.
If I just remind you that 3 years ago, after the Dow Point was, Dodge Point Road was next, then we got bumped out, so.
Yeah.
that's-
Why aren't we finishing one road before we start another one?
I know, because we didn't have money to do a full
But now
reconstruction.
we do, shouldn't we finish Dodge Point before we completely tackle another one brand new from start to finish?
Wasn't the trimming though something that was done by that was something separate from the
It was
reconstruction?
contracted out.
It was contracted out, it wasn't part of like a full construction. It was
No.
something I think we did out of necessity, right? We did out the tree work, if I remember right.
It was part of just a general, my understanding was you looked at the needs on the south end of the Cape Road and on Dodge Point Road.
to prep them for
what you had
construction.
Budget for, and you had budget for doing trimming, but not more than that. And so that's what you decided to do.
Didn't we do repair a section on Dodge Point too? It was really bad, like ground pavement or something?
Mhm.
Is that what went in there?
Is there any chance we can't just see what it would cost to do both all in one shot?
I certainly could.
Even if they just Chinese menu it, so we can see them both on paper, the engineer, his estimated cost, project cost for each.
All
And
the places
then,
mine.
you know, we're not out anything, and when we do decide to do it, we kind of set the grounds for it, whether it's one or the other, or both.
I actually do have a 3 to 4 year old estimate, engineer's estimate for Dodge Point Road.
For the whole road, though, not just, right,
I think it ends at Stone Lane, but yeah.
yeah, we're
I
just
got
talking halfway there. It's where the-
But that would be something, instead of paying an engineer to go back in and look at this, that would be something, those numbers to give us an idea if we get a Hodgson Road
It was
number.
I want to say it was like 235.
Yeah.
Down to Stone Lane.
Did we, I can't remember, I think Howdy looked into this or checked it, but didn't we say something about only leaving a little bit of tar out by the main road and then grading it from there in, if you were gonna grind it up or whatever, the pavement? We had some discussion about that, and
Taking the existing pavement, grinding it up and repaving it, and then from there down, maybe putting something that's gonna hold up a little bit better, like some recycled asphalt we talked about at one point.
That's what we talked about.
To keep, because it doesn't wash out, it keeps the dust down a little bit too.
Where does this do?
That would be on Dodge Point.
it would be from I think I just trying to think of exactly how the discussion went, but I think we were gonna leave, or it was just an idea of leaving like an apron out at the end of the road.
Yeah.
So you would have whatever, 40 feet of pavement or whatever there is, and then from there in, grind up and grade stuff so that you would have a, at least until it got fully reconstructed, it would be, in reasonable
We
shape.
did
Yeah.
put some stone down a little ways in from the road back in the fall of 2018, I think. And Tom Dock graded it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Over the old tar.
Yep.
The tar that was there, put down in the 90s, was some kind of new type of asphalt that wasn't really good. And as far as that road, the history of it, I mean, you might find the base could be something that have to be redone. I've heard corduroy road in there at one point, so it might not be, once the engineer starts poking around in there, you might find bit more to it.
How long's that road total?
Dodge Point,
The whole, with the gravel and everything?
all the way down to the end of the town. Hang on. About 2,800 feet.
Yeah, it's
What is it to show me?
The shown lane, it's 1,100, 1,200, 1,600, that's 1,600?
And the tar goes in now about 850.
But it's covered over is what you're
Well,
saying.
some of it is.
Some of it,
Yeah.
The gravel section beyond there is, that's the road that was in really good condition, I believe.
Yeah,
I
pretty
mean,
good condition.
One of the best gravel roads I've seen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it was about a year ago, because I drove that,
Yeah.
and I said, I
We
thought it
did,
was
I did too.
really, it was in,
there's a good crown to it.
Yep.
Yep. Always gravel into it,
Yep.
getting graded every year. Yeah. And now with the cut away, the sun is, the winter we had last year, the sun's not. Didn't have as nice problems as we've had in the past.
Maybe we just look into doing that first 800 feet, repaving that.
I know, I think, that's just my opinion, but I would pick your main road that you want to do, whichever your one you want to do complete. If that is Hutchton, then have the engineer do that, see what it comes back as, and whether it's under budget or, just rough estimates, but if it's gonna be at budget, way under budget, or way over budget, just so we have an idea of maybe roughly what kind of money we have left.
Should we get some contractor estimates too for that? I mean, just because we're gonna be, the engineer's estimate can be way up here, the contractor can be down here, it's all over the place sometimes, that's all.
Yeah, no, I just mean, just to give us a rough
A rough
idea,
idea.
if we just get it started, then we can talk.
Do you know if when they did the original design 3 years ago for Dodge Point, if they did borings to see if there were any, if it was a corduroy road or not?
I don't know, I have to go.
Yeah, because to me, that's pretty significant change. If it ends up being a corduroy road, it might be a lot better to gravel it, grade it out well, and see how it holds up before you put pavement on it.
That's just with the rumors that, the old fellows around these.
Yeah, but I would think, a few test holes probably would find some wood down there if they were down, if it's much of it. But if you're doing that, you're looking at if it's got a corduroy road under it, you're either looking at a major road reconstruction or, like I say, I think probably in something like that, if you graded a regular gravel road, you could probably get away with quite a while.
Can you tear up the asphalt there?
Or regrind it and lay it back down,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
To me, that might be, if it ends up being as good a road as you've got in the lower half of it, it wouldn't be bad at all. And again, if it had corduroy and it's still collapsing, you put pavement on it, it's gonna break up in a couple of years anyway.
It might not hurt just to have that entrance apron coming off the main road paved.
Yeah.
School buses, kids getting on and off, people pulling up, but like you said, the whole road, we would have to add another zero to a price there, I think.
I'll tell you what, my suggestion would be, see if you can find the engineer's paperwork for the last time they looked at Dodge Point Road, bring it back and have a little time to read it. And maybe we can do another field trip each and take a look at Dodge Road and come back and look at it at the next meeting. Readdress it. I think that makes sense.
That's your motion.
Well, to table it.
Yeah.
You don't need to make a
Yeah, okay.
motion if that's the
We'll just
consensus
call
of
it
the
to
board.
table it.
So I'll bring back, the Dodge Point engineer's estimate.
Yeah.
And see if they did some test holes.
And I'll try to make sure that we drive a few of, at least those three that look to be in poor shape before, or 3 or 4, try to drive them again, get an idea again.
I agree. I was on Hudson Road the other day. It's pretty
Yeah,
bad.
no, when we looked at it before, the drainage was just, there's no,
Yeah.
the road's never gonna be anywhere decent without those 2 hills that come up on both sides of the road. You
Well,
gotta
lucky
have a
the-
ditch there somehow.
Well, lucky the Park Road through there hasn't been, I don't think it's open, at least it wasn't last time I was through.
No.
because they just, they have opened it.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Oh, really? They
2
did.
weeks ago, what?
Yeah, I was gonna say. I'll take the boys swimming.
All right, so everybody's good just to table it until next meeting? Okay. All right, the comprehensive plan update. Chris, could you help fill in on that one a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So I'll do some backwards scheduling for you. So our comprehensive plan was passed in 2011. It's good for 12 years. So the benefits of a comprehensive plan is it informs zoning maps. It makes the town eligible for grant funding. A lot of grants, have some prerequisites of an up-to-date comprehensive plan. And I think it's a good exercise for the town to, look ahead to the years, the decade, or the 12 years ahead, and imagine what are some of the priorities over that period of time. So there's a lot of good reasons to do this. Like I said, our current one was ratified in 2011 by town meeting, so it would expire in 2023. And again, since it's ratified by town meeting, we have to submit it to the state for approval because there's a lot of shoreline zoning type of regulations that need to be satisfied in there. And so that process takes about 6 months. So you want to send it to the state probably in the fall of 2022. And the actual writing process takes about 18 months generally. So that means starting it in the spring of 2021, which is going to be here before we know it. So I brought this to the planning board at their July 7th meeting, and I asked them, do you as a planning board want to be the committee that's driving this plan, or would you prefer a task force, as has been done in the past and is typically done in other towns? And they were very keen on the idea of appointing a task force. They also recommended to you that you have to develop a request for qualifications to go out to find a consultant to help us write this plan with all those shoreline zoning requirements. Those are, require a level of expertise that is typically, a consultant pays for themselves in the end. So anticipating that we would be going down somewhere in that line, I did include about $5,000 in the FY21 budget, which voters approved for this process this year. I expect the consultant's costs can go up, up to $20,000 for, the top of the line consultants. It's not a cheap process, but it's, every 12 years, and a good one really does you some benefit. So if you are comfortable proceeding with this, then as a next step, I think if you requested for me to draft bylaws for that committee or that task force, and then request for qualifications, then I can bring it back to you. I'll also just mention that the planning board came up with the idea for that task force of having each committee on the town appoint 1 or 2 representatives to serve on that task force, so you get that sort of cross-section. So you could have 1 member of the select board serve on there, 1 member of the planning board, 1 member of the rec board, 1 member of the harbor committee, 1 member of the school committee, etc. And then a few more members of the public to round it out. And that would give you a good, representative group of people for the whole town.
Okay. Mike?
Chris, we have until 2023 to get this done.
Correct.
I'm just thinking with all the expenses we have right now. Is something we want to take on right now?
How long will it take, though, to do this
Yeah,
as far
it's
as?
ticking.
That's part of the reason I'm bringing it to you now, so it doesn't get kicked down the road too far. I recommend that if you want to have it up to date and not expire, then I recommend that this committee begin meeting spring of 2021. That being said, I will be the first to admit other towns have expired plans, and there's no state police officer that's knocking on their door saying your comprehensive plan is out of date. But generally,
But that hinders us in applying grants down
Exactly,
the
we
road
could.
if that was a thing.
exactly.
Did we have a consultant in 2011
I
when we
believe
did?
it.
We did.
I believe it was the Hancock County Plan Commission.
Okay.
It was.
And I'm just happen to be serving on the executive board of the Hancock County Planning Commission. That organization was we'll call it hibernation, for a while after an employee stole a considerable amount of money from them. And so they had to regroup. And as part of that regrouping, they brought on a number of new board members, including me. We've been working to sort of reassess what the organization is doing, and we've extended an offer to a candidate to be an executive director. I was in the last couple of weeks, I have not heard whether that's finalized yet, so I don't want to speak too far in saying the details there, but I do expect that the organization will be up and operational in the next few months. And so I would think that they would be very interested in submitting a bid for this. Another name who many of you might know is Noel Musson, is a consultant out of Southwest Harbor who does a lot of these. He's considered one of those top of the line consultants though.
Mark, do you have any input as far as from the planning board, or?
I think Chris summed it up pretty well.
Okay, yep.
I think one of the other things the comprehensive plan does is validates a lot of the zoning. I mean, you can't have zoning conflicting with the comprehensive plan, and it doesn't hold up.
It's also nice because I think the farther you get from your most recent comprehensive plan, the more people start to question what your zoning is. And we're starting to get those kinds of questions. We got some last year at town meeting about that stretch of properties along Shore Road. And so I think that a comprehensive plan process allows the town to work through a lot of those questions in a systematic way, as opposed to, someone just saying, hey, I want this changed, or someone else saying, I want that changed, and you're worried that it's not fitting into a broad picture.
Yeah.
I think another way to say it is it's kind of a roadmap to the town's future.
Yep.
For the town's future.
I would agree with Mark on that. In another Southwest Harbor similar town, it's just kind of like a vision for the town. It's not necessarily a set of rules. It's just saying this is the direction we want to head down the road.
Clear.
So-
In the past, like 20, 30 years, has it ever expired in Tremont?
I don't know if the 2011 plan, that was not the first time it existed. I don't know what the
I
previous.
remember the 90s.
Yeah. I don't know.
Why do we have to change the existing one? I guess.
You just have to update it because the state says it expires after 12 years.
But we could just say it's the same as it was before, or just you
Well,
have to
you
go
can't
for a change.
because the state shoreline zoning laws have changed, and so you have to keep, your plan has to change.
Has to reflect theirs.
Yes,
Okay.
but it could be minimal.
I think you may want to look at a copy of the current plan and you wouldn't be asking that question.
It's not very good.
Well, it's pretty vague in a lot of ways, and a lot of the recommendations have not been carried out. So,
Yeah, it seems like something that we obviously have to do by 2023. So I think if you're looking at getting a committee to meet sometime in the spring of 2021, then that gives enough time, but I don't think that's a huge amount of time ahead. So
Yeah. And we're not talking about spending any money right now. It's really, I just need to draft some bylaws.
Yeah.
And that request for qualifications to.
Who are you thinking the committee should be made up of?
Well, I
Planning
think
board members, selectmen,
I
and
really
members of
like the
community?
planning board's recommendation of, each committee or board in the town nominate one person from them as a representative. So you would nominate one member, or you could say two, I don't care. And maybe that's it, or you could round it out with a few people who aren't on any boards or committees. To be honest, having gone through the committee application process in recent years here, it's not like we're bursting at the seams with volunteers.
no, I think that sounds like a good idea. Then you get someone from each committee and gives you, sorry.
Okay, I think one thing Chris didn't mention is that the process also typically involves getting input from the community through surveys or meetings of some kind, public
There
hearings,
must be some
whatever.
virtual input, yeah.
So it's not the group of the committee making all these decisions.
We could also put a couple people from the public
Of course.
And I think that would be a good idea, just to, mix it up a little bit, because we're all, deal with this stuff.
I would think probably half of it from the public. I think you could find enough people to do it.
Yeah.
If we can. If you could just get two would be very good, I would think, at this point. It's hard to get anybody to anymore.
I make a motion to request the town manager to draft bylaws for a comprehensive plan task force and to draft a request for qualifications to hire a comprehensive plan consultant.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to request the town manager to draft bylaws for a comprehensive plan task force and to draft a request for qualifications to hire a comprehensive plan consultant. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? All right.
Was that, yeah, okay, sorry.
Is that?
Yes.
It was fine. So
Yes.
My glasses fogged
No,
up.
yeah, I know. That's what I was noticing earlier. It looked like it was up so far that it's fogging up your glasses.
All I can see was your eyebrows.
Pacific Hall. So I understand this. What steps do we have to make at this point, I guess?
There's really two pieces of paper that I think need to get signed in order to move forward. And the first one is from Morgan Churchman to the town of Fremont, signing the quitclaim deed, which we still don't have, but I expect he'll send it any day now, requested it. And then you giving him a right of first refusal. Each cross-references the other, so you'll see that they're blank pages for book and page. So I won't be able to fill those in until they're both filed. But I don't expect that to be an issue. On the side note, I was really excited. I went to I did a site visit to Pacific Hall with Andrea True and Robert Williams, the facilities guy at the school. And they were both really excited about the idea of making that a site for pre-K in Tremont, and not having the Tremont pre-K be only a half day at Penatech. They were very, very interested in that.
So we wouldn't have to pay Penatech at that point.
I think that it would not be a cost savings measure. It would be a quality of service decision. It would be a better benefit to Tremont. It'd be a whole day situation. There would have to be building improvements. There have to be site improvements based on parking. But I think, how the school's gotten like Sealander to do studies of their facility. We might do something similar there for them to ensure that they're meeting all the state requirements for a school building. But we were very worried about parking at that site because, if you imagine having a wedding there, where on earth are all those guests going to park? Well, if you have a school and the kids are dropped off by a van or by a bus, you might only need a couple spots for a teacher and maybe a few parent drop off, but you wouldn't need more than 5 spots or so. So that would be helpful.
Mark?
The site plan review ordinance actually addresses schools and parking for schools specifically. And I find it woefully inadequate, but I'll tell you what it is.
Compared.
The parking of the ordinance.
5 spaces for each classroom, okay, so is there 1 classroom? I'm assuming as much.
Yeah.
Plus 1 for each 4 employees,
I wouldn't imagine there'd be more than 4.
so that would be 6.
Probably find
I
a way to
think there's
squeeze.
5 there now.
And with some creativity, we might be able to squeeze out of 6.
I think not to get off topic, I think one time we'd looked at it and said we thought there was a way to get in, 8 or 10 or something like that. There was just there would be a lot of cramming, but there was some sort of a way to get.
Maybe if you build a parking garage.
Yeah.
It was probably a school at one time. Some of those old churches were.
You don't have any property that abuts that you want to sell, do you, George?
Sure. Whatever you like.
All right, so for right now, we would just sign that first refusal agreement and then
That's all you
wait
need to
for
do right
the
now.
quit claim deed
Yep.
to come through.
The school committee is going to discuss this at an upcoming meeting.
I think it'd be nice if we could get out there and take a look at it at some point before too many
Absolutely.
decisions are made too.
You just let me know. And get you in there.
Yeah, we could do like we did at the town wharf house there that time. That was an eye opener, I think, for all of us. So, yeah, before we make any decisions.
Yeah, I don't think pre-K would need the whole space anyway.
I don't think you would.
Have some beans up us.
I make a motion to approve and sign the agreement to grant W. Morgan Churchman III a right of first refusal to purchase all or any portion of the property identified on the April 1st, 2018 tax maps, at map 6, lot 5.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve and sign the agreement to grant Morgan Churchman III a right of first refusal to purchase all or any portions of the property identified on the April 1st, 2018 tax maps at map 6, lot 5. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? All right, next is the high attendance meeting policy. Chris, do you want to explain that a little bit?
So this is just trying to figure out if there's a large group of people and we, expect to have, let's say, 30 people, or we could have 30 people attend the meeting. This room is not big enough to have proper social distancing with that many people. And so I asked you at your last meeting, how do you want to anticipate, or how do you want to handle that kind of situation? And you gave me a priority list, which is listed under the procedures section. Outdoors, just right outside this building. Second choice is community building, third choice is specific hall, fourth choice is public works garage, and fifth choice would be remote meeting software such as Zoom. And so basically the way the policy works is whichever, the two boards or committees that I can see this happening are the planning board and the select board. I don't think the rec board is gonna have 50 people showing up in a meeting anytime soon. And so the way I wrote it was basically if it's in advance of the meeting and we expect this to be a problem, I will work with the chair of that board to try to identify what space works best. And we'll, does outdoors work? If it does, great. Right now Pacific Hall wouldn't work because we don't own Pacific Hall. And we would work our way down the list that way until we figured out the one that fit. If it's unexpected, like if suddenly a whole bunch of people show up to a meeting and we weren't expecting a big crowd, then the board itself, since they're already in session, would be able to take a vote to figure out the right venue. Hopefully in that situation, if great weather outside and you just step outside the room and continue. But if it's not, then there might need to be a brief recess where people drive to the community building or something along those lines. But I'm optimistic that we will be able to anticipate when these large meetings may occur.
No, I think that sounds good to me. I know Mark's gonna be the other recipient of this stuff, and if we can take a recess, if there was a large amount of people who showed up all of a sudden, and I know it could be raining out, but even if it was anticipated date, I know someone had come up with the idea before about having a rain date on no matter what it was. If you planned out something 3 weeks ahead of time, you'd have Monday night or a rain date for Wednesday night because you don't know, but odds are, hopefully it doesn't rain on both nights of the week. And that would give enough notice, wouldn't it?
I think that would be.
I don't, with rain dates work with public hearings, so would you legally have to advertise for a certain time and date?
You could put in the public hearing, the advertisement, you could put a rain date.
That would be legal.
I would, my first thought is yes, it would be, but I would perhaps want to consult with legal counsel.
Yeah, probably a good idea.
Yeah, I think that checked this before when we had talked about it for something, but I could be wrong.
Yeah,
I think it said as long as you published it as, a rain date in there and had that second date.
yeah, I think the hard part is just knowing what who, whether or not weather necessitates a rain date. So if it's a few showers, maybe people think you can still meet. And someone else might not show up because they might say, oh, it was raining, so I figured it was. But, we would just have to publish it on our website and maybe include that in the advertisement itself, If you're not sure, we're gonna let you know on the website 3 hours before the meeting.
Of course, we can avoid all that and just schedule things for the community building. We think there's a big turnout.
You can do that.
Obviously, our weather window will be getting smaller here pretty soon anyway.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say one more thing, and I said it at the last meeting. I have no real problem. You guys want it on there. I don't understand why Pacific Hall's on there with 5 spaces. You guys all drive down there and park, and there's no room for anybody else unless Mr. Carter wants to let us go park over in his lot.
That's fine. As long as I'm not working, I don't care if they move that up, it's fine. Don't have a thing.
That'd be something that we could make a phone call then if we got in that circumstance. Chris could.
Anytime, as long as it's not during the work day, don't bother me at all. Just, as long as it don't block the road up back, in case I gotta get it back to go in the shop or something like that, no, that's fine. Don't have a thing.
Because I would worry about people parking along the road there.
Yeah.
It's a little dangerous.
Yep.
Be a lot better than somebody getting hit there.
Yep.
That sharp corner.
Yep.
Yeah. No, not a problem.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, anytime.
That's George.
All right, anything else?
I'll make a motion to adopt and sign the COVID-19 high attendance meeting policy.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt and sign the COVID-19 high attendance meeting policy. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Okay. Next is the election of MMA Vice President and Executive Committee. Anybody have any preferences for this, or?
Make a motion to vote for James Bennett for MMA Vice President and Robert Butler, Terry Helms, and Diane Hines for MMA Executive Committee.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to vote for James Bennett for MMA Vice President and Robert Butler, Terry Helms, and Diane Hines for the MMA Executive Committee. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? All right, next is the assessing contract. Chris, I'll let you, I know it's a 3 years ago we did this, but is there anything you'd like to add to it?
There are no changes to the language of the contract. The only change is, there's a small percentage increase every year, and seems reasonable to me.
They seem to have done a very efficient job, best I can tell. I know I don't get away with this thing anymore.
They're very good at what they do.
No, I think they paid for themselves at the first of it, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
A two little, small increase here, 2.6%, 2.3% is, I think, pretty minimal.
Fairly low.
Yeah.
Compared to other towns, so we're pretty lucky that way, I guess.
I'll make a motion to authorize the town manager to sign a contract with RJD Appraisal for assessing services from October 1st, 2020 through September 30th, 2023.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to authorize the town manager to sign a contract with RJD Appraisal and for assessing services from October 1st, 2020 through September 30th, 2023. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? All right, winter sand bids is the next thing. And Chris, you spoke with GOTS and they offered to do it for the same price as last year.
Correct.
It's like a pretty reasonable price.
I think it's good and it's pretty nice that they let us use their loader. when we need to. And that we're not gonna get that just anywhere. We shop it out of town.
We run out in the storm, it's pretty easy to go get some.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
To honor the same prices. It's good.
Right. That's the same price they give us the year before that, too, isn't it?
It was.
I mean, it's. I make a motion to award the FY 21 winter sand contract to Doug Gott and Sons for the price of $9.80 per cubic yard.
second,
It's been moved and seconded to award the FY 21 winter sand contract to Doug Gott and Sons for a price of $9.80 per cubic yard. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Now, when will we get them to fill that, Chris?
We'll be working on, trying to think, I'd like to time it with the delivery of the salt, so,
I'm just thinking sooner the better, so it's dried out a little bit.
yeah.
So it's not
I would say definitely within the next month and a half.
perfect.
and we're gonna use that old loader, to push it in.
Oh, yeah, the new loader's not going
Yeah.
to be near that salt sand shed.
No.
I told Troy, if it comes 50 feet of it, he's gonna hear from me.
We're off the rims right off of a.
Yeah.
That's what we said going into this, is that had no, unless it was a dire emergency.
You watch that page,
Not in the
just,
salt
watch that
sand.
page just roll right off of it.
Yeah, I know. All right, I can start the next thing. Next is the town manager's report.
All right, so major emphasis of the last couple of weeks, as I'm sure all of you have seen, we committed taxes. Tax bills have gone out, people are paying their taxes, which is a nice relief amid our current economic times. I applied for a second round of for the Keep Maine Healthy grants. You had authorized me to apply for round one. And I also applied for round two. I still have not heard back on whether we got it, but I will keep you informed. Conducted public works foreman interviews, and I intend to have a decision by the end of the week. And our backhoe was delivered. So that was a big relief. Some minor projects going around, continuing to work on the head of Harbor Cemetery, and I visited it today. It is all staked out, all the stakes are correct. I'm very happy with the final product. It was gone a little bit faster, but we have a new cemetery, so you all ready to go. So I expect you to have some agenda items in the next couple months, people purchasing lots. The gym floor work was completed. The school is very happy with the final product. I've got our salt contract in place. I have had emails with John Cullen from the DEP about the Tremont Road drainage. He did issue a final decision and said that runoff area was never a drainage, and so we would have to we'd have to dig a new ditch that could be right along McCaffrey's property, right there, and get a permit by rule to do so. So I'll be looking into the process for what that looks like. I've been attending Down East COVID-19 task force meetings. I've arranged for roadside mowing at the end of August. I got that sand price from GOTS. Been preparing for a streetlight LED conversion project. You've already awarded it to Affinity LED, and so we're getting a contract in place. I opened the surplus property sale bids. We received a bid of $310 for the bookshelves, and we received no bids for the plow steel. So we'll see what, if anyone just wants to offer me a price, go for it.
Good steal.
Preparing paperwork for the Pacific Hall property transfer. I met with school officials on site to review it. I drafted that high attendance meeting policy, applied for and received that tier 1 status for the workers' compensation and safety incentive program. So we will be getting a 5% discount on that next year. Attended the League of Towns meeting. I took great pleasure in canceling our Zoom subscription. It started again at any point, but it was nice we don't have any meetings upcoming on Zoom, so. I was
Hopefully we
pleased
can keep it that way.
Exactly.
That's some annoying.
I was really glad to hit the cancel button. And I notified the state, oh, this was great news. I notified the state, I was notified by the state that regarding our work project, but we exceeded the budget by about $6,000. And I submitted an invoice, final invoice for the project just for 50% of what they originally committed to. And they came back and they said they think they have funding for the full cost of the project, even though we exceeded that. So it's benefit of about $3,500 coming back. So it's not finalized, but I don't think they would have told me that if they didn't think there was a very good chance of that approval coming through. So I think we're gonna get a little bit of extra money than we were expecting. Office staff, Jan is preparing for the audit, and that will begin on August 31st. Katie's been working on getting our backhoe registered, and it is insured. We committed taxes, sent out those tax bills. Katie finalized all those ordinances which were passed at town meeting and got them posted on the website, sent out to the town attorney, that kind of thing. Jesse has been answering lots and lots and lots of questions about the Pointy Head Campground. If you want to see the best show in town, 6 o'clock tomorrow night, right here. We unfortunately, this is very frustrating, did have some network issues today, and so our computers or our network is down. And so unfortunately, we're not able to process any transactions right now. We are hoping to have them up and running by tomorrow afternoon, but I can't make any promises. It's just computers. Sometimes they don't work for you. And we are starting to process tax payments. Public Works projects, backhoe was delivered, and Troy has been getting familiar with it, did filling some washouts on Cape Road, and had some very positive reviews from that. Truck 3, unfortunately, has an oil leak. Fortunately, it is still under warranty, but it's going to take a while to get it fixed. So it's up at Darling's right now. Troy's been doing lots of mowing. Got truck 3 up in Bangor. It's been, as I said, fixing those Cape Road washouts, and there was a speed limit sign on Bernard Road that was knocked down that he fixed for us. Our harbor master is prepped for and attended the harbor committee meeting. He's trying to get a boat out of the Seal Cove parking lot. You might have seen it parked there, and he's doing his best to get that gone. Very frustrating that it's there in the first place. He repaired the chafing on hoist 1 and adjusted some hydraulic lines under the dock to prevent that chafing in the future. Looking to install a couple pilings at Seal Cove. The harbor committee discussed this, and might happen, it might not. Do some investigation. Replaced the hooks on hoist 3. He towed in a broken down sailboat. He also checked out the new backhoe, and he helped Troy with those Cape Road washouts. He made some new tie-up lines for the boat. Fixed the electric on hoist 3. Trying to get I mentioned that trying to get that boat out of the Seal Cove parking lot, and took a load of tracks and rope through the dump. Some priorities over the next couple weeks: appointing that public works foreman, and then Troy and Justin will be doing some ditching and replacing a couple culverts on Rummel Road. I will be out on vacation next week and the week after, but I am staying in Maine in light of the pandemic, and so I'm just a phone call away. I'll submit that first reimbursement for the round 1 of the Keep Maine Healthy grant. I'll be submitting that this week. I'll be continuing to attend Down East COVID-19 task force meetings, and we've got our audit starting next week, or on actually August 31st.
Thank you, Chris.
Yep.
On the parking down to the Seal Cove,
Yeah.
what is in the ordinance right now for parking? Is there anything that specifies in that parking area?
Yeah, what is currently there is not allowed.
Okay.
Question is,
Because I know I've seen boats there before in the past that they will leave them there for a little bit just to make it easy for them, but I think that.
and Justin's willing, he has the authority to give people permission, and it's usually been like a day or two while they get something fixed. This one's going on a week.
Yeah, no, I just
It's
think,
been over a week.
yeah, and it might be something we might have to look into in the future of just eliminating it for that use period, because then you can get into, if Howdy's boat's there for a day and my boat's there for 2 days, then, then it's, I don't know. I just think it might be a can of worms, it looks like, and it's putting him in a hard spot, I think, with it. So,
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously completely unacceptable that it's there in the first place.
Yeah.
And Justin's doing everything he can to get this guy, get it out of there. And it's short of, hiring a company to come in and tow it out of there and impound it. And we might get to that point.
Friday night, there was a truck down there with a camper on the back. They had tents across the street in the picnic area.
We put up no camping signs for that exact reason. It's not the first report we've gotten of that. If we know what's going on, we can call the sheriffs. That's the enforcement of that.
I only had one other thing is Mark left early too. Are they prepared if there is a high attendance for tomorrow night's meeting? Do they have a preparation for that?
That's a discussion for tomorrow. We were waiting to see if you guys approve the policy.
Okay. That's what I just was wondering, where we just did, whether that would affect their meeting as well.
And with the storm coming in, I don't think outdoors is gonna be an option tomorrow.
No. Well, maybe early tomorrow night. It'd have to be quick.
Yeah.
Might make the meeting shorter.
Yeah.
I don't think that meeting's gonna be quick.
Yeah.
So it'll be something I'm working on tomorrow with Jesse. Identifying
Okay.
the spot.
All right, suggestions for the next meeting? Date of the next meeting.
Make a motion to confirm the date of the next meeting for Tuesday, September 8th, 2020 at 5 PM in the town office.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to confirm the date of the next meeting for Tuesday, September 8th, 2020, 5 PM at the town office. Is there any discussion?
I'll just add right here, because this meeting is, over a month from now. I talked it over with Jan today, and I'm anticipating that on August 24th, your checks for split policy does allow 3 members of the board of selectmen to come in and sign that warrant outside the meeting. And so I'm expecting us to do that on the 24th.
And we planned this summer break way in advance, so it gives everybody a little bit of a break while we're busy. But if there is something that does come up that's emergent, then we can always deal with it too. So if there is something that needs to be done.
Please don't.
Yeah.
Come back from vacation.
Yeah.
And
All right.
I think we'll be okay, Jamie.
Yeah.
I don't know what
I
you
hope so.
suggested, but.
All right, all those in favor?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
That's my stuff.
Yeah, break it.
Nose. I just get my nose down.